The kooky Candace drama is heating up. There are people calling her out left, right, and center, and now she has finally found her match. In this woman called Ellie Reeves, okay, we showed and documented this interview that Candace did on CNN, in which Ellie just did not hold back. She called Candace out, and Candace stuttered her way out of it, trying to figure out what she was going to do, because it was the first time she was actually being interviewed by somebody who exposed her for her lies. And it turns out that she's not the only person exposing her for her lies. We now have this woman by the name of Alex Clark, who's calling Candace out for everything. Now, who's Alex Clark? She's a Turning Point USA employee. She has a massive platform. She's very capable. She's a great interviewer. She was a good friend of Charlie. And we've actually seen proof of her speaking to Charlie a lot in the time leading up to Charlie's death, unlike Candace's cuckoo claims that she and Charlie were actually the best friends in the whole world. And so Alex Clark calls out Candace for a bunch of her shenanigans. Candace gets very, very angry and responds to her. And then Ellie basically says, Candace, what are you talking about? Everything that you've just said is wrong. We have the receipts. And don't worry, we've got all the receipts for you today. If you're getting tired of the Candace thing, you absolutely should be, because Candace is exhausting everybody. But if you enjoy seeing Candace just kind of melt into her absolute patheticness, then you will love this episode, because we have a lot of this kookiness up for us at the moment, a whole amount of kookiness. And we're going to start with this wonderful video before we get to the evidence from none other than our favorite content creator at the moment, which just puts a little bit of a reminder as to who Candace is. But really, I'm very serious. Ellie manages, not for the first time now, but for the second time, to put Candace so damn smack in her place. It is so utterly enjoyable, and I am all for the females of the internet calling Candace out for exactly what she is. But first, a reminder of who Candace truly is.
She can connect any two events in history with yarn, thumbtacks, and unwarranted confidence. She doesn't need sources. She is the source.
Yeah.
She once debated herself and lost twice. Intelligence agencies follow her Twitter just to see what they're doing next. She never met an obvious explanation she couldn't turn into a confusing 2-hour podcast. She possesses priceless secrets, but will share them with anyone for a small subscription fee. In her world, all roads lead to Israel, even cul-de-sacs. She is the most kooky podcaster in the world, but then again, the feds told us to say that.
Absolutely wonderful, superb reminder to us of who Candace really is. And you already know the drill. If you're here already at this point, please make sure to be joining this channel, to follow us. And if you want to support us, we've got a Buy Me a Coffee link, or you can join as a member. We truly appreciate it. So let's start, okay? We've got this tweet from Alex Clark, which I'm going to read. I was going to put it on screen, but none of you would have been able to see it. When Candace first launched her so-called Davidic crusade to defend Charlie and uncover the truth behind his assassination, she accused me, Alex Clark, not Meira, of being unfazed by his death, and publicly condemned me for giving an interview to the Wall Street Journal a week later, calling my time and tone icky and insinuating that I and Turning Point USA were somehow exploiting Charlie's death to advance our mission. It should be noted that I was the only Turning Point USA contributor who declined all media for the first week. Normal people don't respond to death the way they did, she attested. But we responded in the only way that Charlie would have wanted. Empowering, number one, law enforcement allies like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, which if you're watching Candace, you know she's gone after. Two men Charlie himself advocated for to secure positions within this administration to pursue justice for his killer. And number two, working tirelessly to ensure that Charlie's message and legacy were amplified across the globe. Exactly what that Wall Street Journal article did. Okay? So the first thing that she's saying is, we did exactly what Charlie wanted us to do and would have wanted us to do, and we obviously know it because we're friends with him. This, she then goes on to say, this was the beginning of Candace's tirade against the very people Charlie called his closest friends and mentors. We know that Candace does not hold back from trying to go after everybody that Charlie ever loved. She stopped just short of outright accusing them of orchestrating his death, And why did she add this part? Because Ben Shapiro is getting in trouble for saying that Candace Owens said Meira K killed him, okay, which she didn't actually say. She just insinuated it time and time again that Turning Point USA and everybody at Turning Point USA, which obviously includes Meira, were responsible for the death, okay? So she's here saying she just stopped short of outright accusing them of orchestrating his death, preferring instead to just ask questions and say the vibes are off, or otherwise insinuate that what she didn't have the courage or legal standing to claim directly, likely fearing another defamation lawsuit. Okay. She then goes on to say, Candace has said that she was virtually incapacitated with grief in the days following Charlie's death, that she couldn't bear to speak to the media about it. Yet her own later admission, this was false. While defending her incoherent CNN interview, she excused her erratic answers by saying it was recorded a couple of days after Charlie's death. She now says it was 2 weeks after the assassination. I was icky and self-seeking for talking to the media a week after his death, to honor Charlie's legacy, mind you. But when Candace jumps to do a CNN interview about conspiracies she started, not even honoring him, a couple of days after his death, she's Charlie's guardian angel. Cool. Makes sense. We know that Candace is a double standard for her and everybody else. Since then, she's been weaving strings of evidence connecting Charlie's mentors and allies, i.e. everybody at Turning Point USA is involved in a cover-up, to sinister motives, all whilst accusing them of mismanaging or profiting from his death. Candace positioned himself as Charlie's self-styled David, claims she's only seeking truth, but it's becoming increasingly clear that she's projecting, doing precisely what she accuses us of doing, leveraging Charlie's death for brand awareness and personal profit. I mean, if there is anybody in the universe who has gained from Charlie dying, it's Candace Owens, right? This is not Alex saying this is what I'm saying. If there's anybody who's gained, she's jumped to podcast #1. The whole world's talking about her. She's the number one person to gain from this. Unlike David, however, Candace hasn't slain a giant. She's been sparring with a lightweight libtard CNN reporter and somehow still losing. She said more than once in an attempt to excuse her rude attitude, this was a couple days after Charlie was murdered. Lie, it wasn't. I couldn't even speak to the press. I still haven't actually spoken to the press. Lie, she did, and she has. Told them multiple times in writing I didn't want to talk about Charlie. Lie. Via her representation, in fact, got in permission. CNN violated our request and asked about him once cameras are rolling. Lie. They violated nothing. Okay. Basically, Alex is coming out and saying, Candace, you're the one profiting off of Charlie, and you are just besmirching his name and besmirching everybody at Turning Point USA, claiming that we're the ones using his death for our benefit, when you're the one who's clearly using our death. And one of the examples that you use time and time again is, they went on media and they gained publicity from this, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, everybody gained publicity from this because it was the most talked about event in who knows how long, right? So then Candace says, okay, I'm going to provide an email receipt and respond to this, okay? Because one of the allegations is Alex says to Candace, look, you are claiming that you didn't tell CNN that you can't talk about Charlie, it's off. Okay, so let's go to Candace's response, and we'll then compare the two. Candace Owens. Can you guys see it's Candace? It's a little bit fuzzy. Candace Owens. So easy to debunk. And by the way, she's using ChatGPT for this, which is hilarious. And you are beyond pathetic for trying this. Number 1, see my email below. This is the email over here. My CNN interview was booked before Charlie died, and it was related to my book launch. We kept the interview, which took place about 20 days after he had passed, and we told them in writing multiple times that I wanted no questions about Charlie. Despite this, CNN was CNN and violated our request and asked about him once cameras were rolling. 2, you awarded an interview to W Street Journal after Charlie's death 4 days after he was gone and chose to pose outside of his public memorial site in high boots. We are not the same. 3, Davidics was Charlie's word, not mine. In a very classic Candace, she's trying to turn away from the information and be like, why are you using the word David? That was what Charlie would say. That's not what I would say. Whatever, pathetic. And she's making a cheap shot going after Alex's clothes instead of actually dealing with allegations. And she provides this email. Now, by reading this email, on September 15th. Hi, Ellie. I hope you are well. A few questions below. Can you confirm the time and location? Early afternoon is ideal. Can you confirm we'll run da-da-da? Can you confirm you'll plug this book? Most importantly, Candace wants to refrain from discussing the passing of her friend Charlie Kirk at this time. If that changes, I'll let you know. Additionally, given the events of last week, please let us know the following, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is the email that was sent to the CNN team. And that would kind of seem to make a lot of sense, except for the fact that Ellie Reeve, which is this libtard interviewer from CNN, kind of comes out with receipts of her own to prove that Candace Owens is once again lying, okay? For clarity, Owens, via her rep, did agree to talk about Charlie Kirk before our interview. Okay. Thank you. So long as Charlie is discussed in a tasteful way, that's fine. I understand you have to ask. I would just keep it to 1 or 2 questions about his passing. She's still mourning, so it's a sensitive topic. Okay, this is from the CNN reps back and forth with this Ellie woman who's obviously Candace's, I don't know, demon digital person who helps her. Very simply, once again, we have another one of a Candace manipulation abuse tactics. Alex comes out saying something very simple. Hi, I'm from Turning Point USA. I know what Charlie wanted. I worked with him. I was very close to him. I understood it. We at Turning Point did not use and abuse our platform. We were doing what we thought Charlie wanted best. And you are using double standards and saying, how dare we have public interviews, when of course we needed to have public interviews because we were using it for our own benefit. When Candace is the number one person to have benefited from this. Then Candace does what Candace always does. She, number one, comes out with a piece of evidence that only partially represents the truth, not fully, partially. But because she's partially represented something, people's eyes are immediately like, oh, Candace obviously has the receipts again. But she doesn't provide the full story, the continuation of the thread. She then goes on to pull out some kind of personal attack on Alex. Well, yeah, look at you. You were wearing boots and there were different amounts of days. You said it was a week and it was actually 4 days, whatever. And then she goes on to distract everybody by being like, I know Charlie the best. This is what Charlie would have said and you were wrong about this. But then this reporter comes out and holds back none of the stops and she's like, well, actually, if you continue the thread, here are the receipts. She had agreed to talk about Charlie because Candace is nothing other than an attention-seeking hoe who is happy to use her friends and anybody and anything to climb and destroy as many reputations as it takes, as long as she can prove to the world that she once again is the queen of receipts, the queen of truth, the woman, the David fighting Goliath. And the irony of that is not lost on anybody. She continuously brings out these little snippets of evidence that she presents, but that actually don't share the whole picture, never have shared the whole picture, and never will share the whole picture. She succeeds in concocting different things and destroying people's lives in the wake of this. She goes after anybody who dares to say anything with this kind of big ass, hey, I'm so strong, you can't beat me, the whole world hates me. And honestly, it's kind of pathetic. To end this all, we're going to talk about the best tweet that I have seen so far, and it goes like this. 1 second, let me just pull it up. Candace Owens gets tweeted by this guy called Uri Israel. Why are you so obsessed with Jews? Because somehow she always manages to make everything about Jews, this we know. To which Candace responds with, because they're so obsessed with me. Feeling is mutual now. Number one, Candace admits to the fact that she's obsessed with Jews, but again, completely manages to hide the very, very simple, honest truth, which is that the Jews didn't start the fight with Candace. She did. Candace is the typical example of somebody who comes into the play yard, punches a kid across the face, and then when the kid goes to the teacher, Candace will then go to her parent and be like, oh, this kid rattled on me, forgetting to mention that she's the one who started the problem to begin with. She's always capable of pulling the truth out and manipulating it so that we all fall for the lies. But the lies are very simply all of it. The only way a person can successfully lie is they manage to weave truth into it. So don't be surprised when she provides evidence that these tweets really were real, these texts really were real, because she's not stupid enough to get on camera with literally zero evidence, but she is banking on you being stupid enough to not ask for the evidence that show the entire picture. Good job to Alex for calling her out. Good job to Ellie for really calling her out. And may we see the downfall of Candace very, very soon. Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you for your attention to this matter.